And I think people would be surprised, given how good he was this year, that you put him down here. I will say, Fangraphs Player Rater, and I know we know these things are not, they're not the be all end all, but just in
No.
terms of understanding the fantasy season that Flaherty had, he was the 12th ranked starting pitcher on the year. So, what about from a fantasy perspective? Like, what do you think will not we won't duplicate? I guess.
Yeah, pretty amazing, right, guys? Jack Flaherty is the perfect showcase of why you need to have an open roster spot on your team. Especially like right after the draft, you need to understand that there are these guys who are just going to appear and just dominate. Jack Flaherty is one of them. I think you picked him up on the wire in one league. I picked him up in two, and amazing. I just held on to this for the entire year. That said, that slider I don't think is going to be as good. It jumped up in swinging strike rate this past year. Its strike rate went up. His location of it was pristine. I mean, absolutely just gorgeous all of a sudden, right at the bottom of the zone. In so many starts, I mean, I actually even saw kind of as the season was going on by the end, I remember seeing the slider not quite be there, and he was getting through these outings with the Dodgers, but wasn't as explosive. And then we saw in the playoffs that Flaherty ran into trouble a decent amount because he had to rely too much on that fastball. And that fastball to me is not really that pristine of one. He does have a good fly attack angle, 1.3. Height adjusted VA is good. Vert, 14 to 15, not good. Extensions average, 6.6. And 93 mile per hour velocity. That is a pitch you're trying to avoid. You're trying to not let it get hit. 43% ICR this past year, 40% previously. And it really hinges on this slider to be keeping guys honest. There's also the curveball that certainly took a step last year and then continued it this year. Over 62% strike rate, near 20% swing strike rate in both seasons. And I hope that does continue for him. But it's just like the slider of precision at the bottom of the zone for both of them. And when Jack Flaherty is cruising, it's both that curveball and that slider going over 50% of the time, while the four seamer is just trying to sneak in and not get hit. And I think it's a tightrope. I think it's one of those things where he got into rhythm and then it didn't show up anymore. If you remember, even back in the day when we first saw Jack Flaherty, everyone was out. And then he had this unreal second half where the sinker was introduced and it just all went so well with him on the Cardinals. And then that became the guy, right? And then he got hurt. And then there's always like moments for Jack Flaherty. I think we're going to see another one this upcoming year. And I can't tell you if he's going to start the year with it or not. I can tell you that it's very likely for us to be in a headache mode with Flaherty of just, I'm not getting what I expected. What's going on? He's not that guy. It's I like him because that's why he's here. And in the 50s is not saying that I don't want to draft him. I'm still putting him above many, many pitchers. But the thing is, you have 50 more that I think are just so either clearer or have a better path to their ceiling than Jack Flaherty, where he really did show those signs of regression.